What's up, everybody? Haven't done an intro to an episode in a while, but I wanted to do one for this episode, and for one reason. We had some technical difficulties during this episode. Is video and there is audio for the whole episode. However, the camera continued to die. I went to the guest I have on today. I'm going to intro at the beginning of the episode with her. Went to her house to record with it, and I forgot extra batteries. Rookie move, very, very rookie move. And because of that, had some issues. So like the last 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of the episode, if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify or something, if you're listening, you're not going to know. So you can ignore this entire introduction. But the last 20 minutes or so, completely different camera angle because I had to change devices entirely. So I just wanted to address it. I just wanted to let you know because it drives me insane that the fact that, I pulled a rookie move and it's not perfect. But hey, you know what? Life isn't perfect. So maybe there's a lesson in that. However, phenomenal episode today. Hope you enjoy this. What's up, everybody? We're back. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
So I have today probably one of my favorite people on planet Earth. And I have talked about you on this podcast a lot. But Jackie Brewster. Jackie, welcome to Deepish.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
It is truly. So I'm going to tell a couple stories about you.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Before we get started.
Okay.
So I've talked about you openly a lot on this podcast. I was thinking about it driving over here. I've had at least 2 or 3 people on this podcast that have also done Enneagram coaching with you. So would you technically call yourself an Enneagram life coach? Is that like
I am.
the proper title?
Yeah.
And I've brought up, when I've talked with guests about you, and everyone's like, no, like there's no one on planet Earth who has had more of an impact, I think.
Oh,
I mean, it's like,
so kind.
I think like Kelly Robertson was on and we talked about you. I think Hallie, she and I talked about you. So it's just, and I've talked with other guests that don't know you. I'm like, they talk about therapy and counseling. So all that to be said, there's 2 stories I want to tell about you before we get started. You were one of the probably few people who was with us in our darkest season of life. And I remember it was January of 2023. And we'd had a session like on a Wednesday morning. And every session, you ended the same way. If you need anything, you have my cell number, you call me. Like, no worries, call me and we can talk about whatever's going on. And I had never, I'd been seeing you by that point in time for 6 or 8 months, probably. Never called. We always just caught up with what was going on and everything. And I texted you. I said, hey, can I call you? You said, absolutely. I think it was a day before we got on a call, or maybe it was later that day. And and then we'd already been on a session for, our sessions were an hour, and I think they always went like an hour and a half, like without fail.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's
typical.
just like, and so we get on a call that afternoon and we're on the phone for another 45 minutes and you're like, what's going on? And I told you everything. And your response was, I'm so sorry. And then I think the second response was, there's a way out of what you're going through and we're going to see you through it. The second time was February. So it would have been September of the same year. We had a session on like a Monday or Wednesday or something. I think it was a Wednesday, whatever, sometime that week. This Tori gets mad at me for the way I tell stories. She's like, these details don't matter. But so
I don't remember them. So yeah.
we had a session. I texted you. I said, hey, can I call you? Absolutely. We end up on another hour and a half long call of what, and I'm like, here's what's going on. This is what's happening. And I mean, I'm distraught. And you said, hey, there's a way out. You're at the end of you're at the end of the tunnel. You're going to get through this. The next day, I texted you. I said, something else happened. Can I call you? You're like, 100%. We end up on another hour-long phone call. And I know I've told that story on this. But that, to me, I think one speaks to your character and who you are and what you do. But also, I mean, I told you this before we started. I don't know that I would be in any remote place in life. I said this, I don't know that I would be alive today if it weren't for the impact you had on me and how the support, the care, the empathy, but also the tough love you gave me.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of sessions we had during that time where you would look at me and you'd go, we'd finish and you're like, I felt like I was a little harsh today,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt like you needed to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you were right.
Mm.
So I just want to say thank you. I mean, I know I've told you thank you before, but I wanted to like publicly and formally say like you genuinely and truly mean the world to me. And
Oh, thank you.
and on top of that, it's like, a month, 2 months later, me, you, your husband, Tori, and Roman, we're all at a wedding together. And I looked at you all and I'm like, I'm sticking by your side tonight. You're like, all right, sounds great. And Stephen was the most encouraging human being on planet Earth to me that night.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was telling you before we started, I first met him April of 2015, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's one of the greatest human beings, I think, on planet Earth.
He's really great.
So how long have you and Stephen been married now?
27.5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
So you all grew up in Florida together? Is that correct?
No, He grew up overseas.
Okay.
And so he was a missionary kid. So he grew up in
he
Haiti.
really?
Mm-hmm. Haiti and Singapore. He moved to Florida
Okay.
in like high school. So he's a little older than me. So I went to high school with his brother in Florida. I grew up in Massachusetts, moved to Florida at 16. My last 2 years of high school, I went to a private high school there with his brother.
Okay.
And so
Gotcha.
I met him that way. And then it wasn't until several years after high school that he came back into town.
Okay.
We saw each other and that was it. 9 months later, we got married.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like kind of how Tori and I, we went to middle school together. She's older than me, but it was like she was in college. I was on staff at a church. We saw each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then 14 months later, I think we were married.
Mm-hmm.
It's
really, really fast.
How old were you all when you got married? Were you in your 20s?
I was 21 and Stephen was 24.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Because I've talked with this about people, and I've had this. I'm at the point now when I don't remember what I've said on this podcast, probably to my detriment. But what value do you see when you look at, you guys have been married for 27.5 years. You got married in your 20s. And now looking back on your life, but also like knowing what you know now about the way people are wired, how important, I don't know, important, but like what value do you see in getting married young as opposed to waiting, and how that impacts the early part of marriage?
Well, I think that, so I want to hold space for whatever choice people want to make, whether you want to get married young or, late 20s, 30s, 40s, I don't know. Like it's, that's not what I,
right. Absolutely.
But what I think about it, what I can say about getting married young is that you grow up together.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what you don't know. You're not really set in your ways because you have no idea what ways to be set in.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so like your prefrontal cortex isn't even finished developing until you're 25, 26.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that we just didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, so when I think about that, I think there's probably more grace in it because you're just kind of dumb and in love.
Absolutely.
And you typically at 21, you don't have a lot of money. So you're not self-sufficient necessarily. Yeah. But I think later on, because I work with a lot of people in their 30s, and maybe even early 40s here, and they're not married. And so, but they have successful careers and they've traveled and they've done a lot of living. And so I can see how that could be beneficial.
Right.
And so, but I do think that is probably a little bit more difficult to blend. Yeah. Right. Because you are used to your way, you're used to spending money how you want to spend it, you're used to sleeping in. You're used to all the things.
All the stuff that you can do when you're single, have money, an adult.
Right.
Which I never did. I mean.
No, I didn't either. So like you can have crackers for dinner. Like I am almost an empty nester and I can't wait to be able to have crackers for dinner. Yep. These kids look at me like, what are we eating? I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. I don't even, cereal.
We are a long ways from empty nesters. I mean, as you know, we have a 7-month-old.
Yeah.
And we have an 8-year-old. And our 8-year-old comes home from school every day and he's like, which they feed them like kings at their school. Yeah. I mean, I went and had lunch with them the other day. They do this like full-blown catering service.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
wild. But 3 o'clock, he gets home and he looks and he goes, what's for dinner? And I'm like, you've been home for 7 seconds.
Mine texts me from school. Like, what's for dinner?
I feel that day.
I just don't care.
And then it's like 30 more times after that. Roman's like, what are we having for dinner? I'm like, Your mother told you 7
Yes.
seconds ago. But no,
We're having chicken nuggets and fries. That's what we're having.
and honestly, I can live with chicken nuggets and fries at the time. But I do think your answer is very accurate in that when I've had this conversation with people in life, I don't know that one is right or
No,
wrong.
I don't think so. Yeah.
But I do agree with you in that when getting married young, I mean, and Tori, I think, has told you this specifically that the first 5 years of marriage are very, I mean, I was 20 when we got married. She jokes
Just
that I wasn't allowed to
baby.
drink on our
Yeah.
honeymoon because I was so young.
Yeah.
But we were babies.
Yeah.
And we didn't have two nickels to rub together at all. Some days we still don't.
Yeah.
But we knew that like we were committed to each
Right.
other, and you don't know what you don't know, I think, in a sense.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
those first few years in marriage where it's, and you can speak to this too, is like you're just like, we have no option but to work through it and figure it out because we're not established in anything.
Right.
We're just
Yeah.
two people who love each other. And
I think what I know now is that it's two people coming together with two different constructs, two different ways that they grew up, two different cultures, two different environments. Everything about how you were raised and your partner were raised was probably, not everything was different, but the homes were different.
Absolutely.
And like
Absolutely.
Stephen's mom she's a perfectionist, neat freak, everything, like she's going to put the dishes away after she uses them. You guys, I don't do that.
Oh,
My
yeah.
mom, I'm like, Mom, what is going on with your side table? So it is like completely different, different constructs. And so different coping strategies, different parenting styles, different ways of showing love, receiving love, protecting self. There's so many different elements to it that you don't know. And if you've not done therapy, okay, and most back when I was growing up,
Oh, right.
'cause
Yeah.
I'm older than y'all, that wasn't something that we did. My kids are all in therapy, and my kids are 24, 22, and then my twins are 17. And so they have all been in therapy. They all have language around this stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad that they're empowered in this way, which is so different. But when we got married, we didn't know.
Yeah.
Like we didn't know the dysfunction. And Steve grew up, as a pastor's kid in ministry. So, he had it all together apparently, because I grew up in a single mom home that was messy. And, and then when we started to work through things, we realized, no, we both have messy parts of our stories.
Yeah.
We both have coping strategies that are not healthy. We both have brokenness. We both have wounding. And I think that, the beginning of it, we're just so dumb and in love and didn't know.
Right.
And then as life unfolded, we hit some really big rocks and really, really hard stuff.
Yeah.
And instead of walking away, instead of throwing in the towel and walking away, like we chose to figure it out, to go together.
And I think this is my perspective on that is, I think when you get married younger, the ease of treating marriage like a contract of that as soon as things get hard, we can throw in the towel and walk away, gets harder. Or is harder, not gets harder. But I think the older you get, you're probably a little more established and a little more set in your ways. Because I've seen it where it's that you get into your 30s and you get married, and when things don't go your way, things get hard. It's like,
well, you've done it alone. You've done it alone.
and
You've
so to
paid
walk
rent.
away is not a big deal.
Right. You've paid rent. You've bought your own groceries. You've done a lot of those
Yeah.
things alone. You can.
Right.
But at 21, and I did live with a roommate and things like that.
Sure.
But still, I don't know. And I think my faith plays a big role in
Yeah,
it. Like, I
same.
think that I was kind of a wild child, and I needed a lot of grace and forgiveness. And so
Yeah.
because of that, I think that extending that grace and forgiveness was one of those things that I understood.
Yeah.
Or I didn't actually understand it until I had to do it. Then I was like, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah.
what you did for me, Lord. Like you didn't toss me to the side. Like you forgave me, and
Oh, absolutely.
you held your arms open.
And I think to your point, I think faith plays a massive role
Yeah.
in, and that's not to say that there aren't people that don't know God, that aren't believers, that aren't
Right.
people of faith, that also don't have healthy, successful, long-lasting marriages and are great at grace and forgiveness. But I do think for us, like coming from the, I was literally born in the church, not
Mhm.
actually, like, I was
Mhm.
born in a hospital, but I mean,
Mhm.
so, like, I've been in
Mhm.
church since the day I was born.
Yeah.
But so, like, that is having that foundation
Mhm.
has drastically impacted, I think, the way you view life.
Mhm.
There's a
Mhm.
song, I'm a huge Jonas Brothers fan.
Okay.
I just everyone's like, "What?" I'm like, "I don't know, just let me be." Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, I love them. They're like my modern day NSYNC. I wasn't allowed to listen to NSYNC.
Oh. Oh, okay.
I grew up like we grew up in independent Baptist
Yeah.
world,
Yeah, I
which
didn't
was
grow up like this at all.
strict as
Oh, yeah, yeah.
this was
No,
like
no. I'm listening
suit
to
and
Prince. I'm like,
oh,
"No,
yeah,
no."
suit and
Michael
tie
Jackson, I had
Sundays.
the glove. No,
Yeah.
no, no.
See, I didn't grow up in that
Yeah.
world. But so now in my 30s, once I hit teen years, I
Uh-huh.
mean, it is this. I think I've told stories about this, but like my parents threatened to take my license for making my sweet innocent young sister listen to Lil Wayne with me.
Oh
This
my
whole thing.
gosh, I love Little
I
Wayne.
do too. I do too. I still do. I still listen to Wayne.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
but so all that to be said, Nick Jonas and Brandon Lake recently released a
Yes,
song together
yes.
that, and like I don't know if I should say this or not, but I'm gonna say it. I'm not big on modern Christian music.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want I could tell you why.
Yeah.
I just like it's not that it's all bad. I don't connect with it the same way that I did older stuff.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just think about where I like the place I'm at in life.
Mhm.
And anyways, I could go into detail. I don't want to go into detail. But that was one of the first songs that has come out that is very overtly Christian in a very long time that I was like, holy crap.
Mhm.
Like, but there's a line in that song in the bridge. Oh, now I've just, but the song is called Author. And now I can't remember but it's the whole bridge is talking about like the grace you extend when I don't deserve it. And I've like, the first time I heard that, I was like, oh, like then you see that's like a guy like Brandon Lake is working
Mhm.
with Nick Jonas, who, Nick grew up in
Mhm.
church. And,
Right.
but so I think though that bridge, and it'll come back to me eventually,
Mhm.
that though I think is like very epitomizes what you're saying of what you experienced as a child of God
Mhm.
and your faith in him, then extending that
Mhm.
to other people. And I think there's no better picture of that than marriage and parenting.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, that's the truth. That parenting piece.
How old were you all when you had your first?
So my first is adopted,
Right.
and I was 24, just about 25, and Stephen would have been
Okay.
27,
Okay.
28.
Yeah. Which was,
Maybe it's 28. Yeah.
I think that was trying to remember how old Tori and I when I was 23 and she was 25 when we had
Mhm.
Roman.
Mhm.
But you talk about not knowing anything.
Mhm. Mhm.
You
Yeah.
become parents in your 20s.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad that we did or were.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, I am by far the youngest parent of a kid in his second grade class at school.
Really?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
That's wild.
There maybe is like one or like now granted his class at his school is pretty large for
Uh-huh.
the school. There's like 70 something kids in the second grade. I mean, it's the biggest class in the whole school, high
Uh-huh.
school included. But there's maybe two other parents in his class that are early 30s.
Yeah.
Everyone else is late 30s, early 40s, late 40s, early 50s.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, so it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally a child
Yeah.
in comparison to these people, and especially when you had Roman. But so you talk about getting married in your 20s
Yeah.
and growing up together, and then you throw a kid in the mix.
Yeah, we threw one in. Well, we didn't throw, we adopted
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
Like our early story, they told me I wouldn't have babies.
Mhm.
And so we were like, okay, well, we want to adopt anyways. So
Mhm.
we ended up going that route. And our son Isaiah, we adopted him from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay.
And we got him when he was 4 weeks old. And
Wow.
so he's my first. I thought he could be the only one.
Yep.
Maybe we adopt it later on. I didn't
Mhm.
care. He is our whole life. We love him so much.
Yeah.
He's a giant. He's 6'5" today.
Yeah, he makes me look short.
He is so tall, and his hair is high.
Yeah.
So he's great. He's just so. And then a year later, we got pregnant with my daughter,
Okay.
and so she came along, and then at that point, we had a boy and a girl, and we thought, okay, this is it. We're probably done, and I don't know that this would happen again. They said it's very unlikely. And so we were happy, and it was busy, and life was full. And I was working for hospice at the time,
Mhm.
and she was very clingy. And Stephen was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I've got to figure out a different way. I need to make more money. So he was working, at that point, he took a job as a PE teacher at a private Christian school in Florida.
No way.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of stories.
Oh, yeah.
But he ended up saying like, hey, I'm going to go back into the music business. And so we moved to Texas, Houston, Texas, with these 2 babies. And that was terrible. So he says that he lived there and I visited because that's pretty much what happened. I hated it.
Yeah.
And then we didn't stay long. And shortly after that, we ended up back in Florida. He went back into ministry.
Okay.
And so we've popped around for his job between ministry and music, Christian music, for the past 27 years.
Yeah.
And so we've been in and out of all that. So having babies inside of that, traveling, moving, he moved us a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. I think 18 moves, a lot. We've lived in a lot of different places.
18?
Yes.
I didn't realize it had been that many. I mean,
so many moves.
Yeah.
And so back and forth and back and forth. So we, Nashville feels like home. This is where we were when we got married. We left for a little bit, came back, left for a little bit, came back, and now we're done. Now I'm like, I don't know. He's like, yeah, I guess I'm going to work at Sonic and wear roller skates, and that's what I'm going to have to do if that's what I have to do.
Yep.
Which we own the Harmony Group, which is a management company. So we manage artists.
Yeah.
And then I do Enneagram.
So when you talk about, Stephen was when I met him, he was in ministry.
Yeah.
He was on staff at a church. And
we thought we'd grow old at that church. We thought that we would rock in rocking chairs with the pastor and his wife. And this was it. We absolutely loved being in ministry. We loved pastoring. We loved leading teams. Like, we loved that season of our life.
Well, I tell you, so this is the way I remember this story. And I could be wrong in this, but this speaks to, you talk about like how much you love pastoring and Stephen. And so I met him literally in passing. I say in passing. We were at a luncheon together. He was there. He worked directly with the pastor. So he was there. I meet him. I think I'd heard his name, knew who he was or of him. And then fast forward, but like didn't have any like deep interaction. He might have. Nope, he didn't. You know who gave us a tour of the building? Pete Hickson.
Oh, I love Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's who. I think because that was
Pete
maybe
Holly.
that was maybe right. He was still on staff there. So, anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
But Stephen was around. Fast forward, that was 2015, probably 2017 or 18. One of my best friends was at Salt.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
We were
Stephen
probably
was
there
there.
together. Yeah.
And Stephen was there. So this was after you all had left the church you were at, and I think Stephen had probably started his artist management.
We had
stuff.
come back.
You all had moved back here.
We had moved back here.
Yeah, and so I'll just say my buddy had a hat on that was for the church that we wanted to start, 10 years ago. And Stephen, this way I understand this right, and I could be completely wrong, but this is what my buddy told me. Stephen saw his hat and goes, "It's Jake Law, right?" And I'm like, "How in the world?" But that's just like who Stephen was and who he is like the intentionality and like him remembering and knowing stuff. And I'm like, how in the world did he remember that from a hat of something that doesn't actually exist? But so when you talk though about his music career, being in ministry and like kind of the back and forth, and then when you all left the church, were all on staff at here.
Yeah.
What was that transition like for him going, and for you all as a couple, of going from you think you're in ministry for the rest of your life into now having a different career that was familiar, but now is very established, and you all have found a lot of success and are very, very good at what you do. What was that transition period like?
It was crazy. That was a very crazy transition. So we left the position, the ministry here, and we moved to Florida, and we were there for like 5 months, and it was like it was just not gonna. It was not. We were not in a good place. And so then we went to North Carolina for a year.
I forgot that you all went to North Carolina in between.
And that was really difficult too. I mean, there was those 2 years that flex time was really, really difficult. We were really, really broken, really, really confused, hurt, trying to pick up pieces, I think, from our
absolutely.
life, and just it was a messy season. And so Stephen started seeing a therapist in North Carolina that really, she was attached to nothing. Because here, everybody knows everybody. It's just, we've been in therapy forever. But
one of the greatest things your husband ever said was that Nashville's a small town masquerading as a big city.
Yes.
And that is,
Yes.
everyone knows
Yes.
everyone.
Everyone knows everyone. So be careful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You think
you know?
you mess one person over.
Yeah.
It's gonna, you can get blacklisted in
Yeah.
this town quick. Anyways.
Yes. It's true. So,
It is.
but North Carolina, that season, that propelled us. So that was like the, we no longer have jobs, and we are like, what are we going to do? What are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
We knew we were coming back to Nashville, but the job that we were at ended abruptly. And so it was like, oh my word. We had a little tiny nest egg, enough to breathe, but not enough to live on. Just enough to breathe. We could buy some groceries. And we thought we were going to do church consulting, because I was certified in Enneagram.
Okay.
He was, he'd done church consulting and different things like that. So that's what we thought. We're like, okay, I guess this is the path that we're going to go down. We're going to move back to Nashville. We're going to do this. And he had aligned with a consulting agency that hired him on, and it was good. So he had reached out to Wade Joy at Elevation and just said, hey man, like, I don't know if you guys are looking for anything, but just let you know, like, I'm available if you need anything. And they're like, oh my gosh, we've been wanting to talk to you for a long time, but they don't poach. So, so they ended up having a conversation with Stephen. He ended up partnering with Elevation on the music side of stuff. And so we're like, okay, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
What about this? And then we had this church consulting thing. The church consulting, we'd come to Nashville, put a contract down on a house, everything. And Stephen was, we had gone back to North Carolina. He was flying to Florida, and he got a phone call from the consulting company, the owner. And he said, I don't feel like I can't hire you. I feel like the Holy Spirit said I can't hire you. And it was like a huge chunk of our income. And we were like, oh, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And it was like panic. It was really like shock and awe. Like, I don't know what in the world we're going to do. And it was super scary, so confusing. And he went to SEU to pitch a curriculum, and ended up going into this meeting with their worship team, and ended up leaving there with a contract to manage their worship team. And from there, then shortly after that, Saddleback reached out. It was just like boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, this whole path opened up. And so we just look at it today, hands held open, fingers wide, like, okay, Lord, we will not grip this. This was not our plan. This was not our path. We are just going to walk. We're going to say yes to the things that you put in front of us. And we're going to hold them loosely. Knowing that you orchestrate our life. Like, we don't know. We want to be good stewards. We want to love well. Man, we want to love well. We don't want to hurt anybody. We want to be really careful in how we do that. So
yeah. And I think when you have been hurt, it changes your perspective on life a lot. And I think gives you a level of empathy for humans that I don't know how to, I'm trying to word this carefully, but I think when you've experienced hurt, and I think when you've experienced hurt by people close to you, I also will say this though. I have been the person that has hurt others close to them.
I have too. Yeah, I think we all have. Yeah.
I think when, like, if there's one thing that I would want on the list of, like, when I look back on, like, when I'm on my deathbed, hopefully years down the road, no matter what I accomplish, what I build, what I do, I think if people can say, like, I knew he loved me well, I think that is as great of an accomplishment as any human being can have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I want That's my hope, is that people feel loved by us. And I say us, I feel like Steve and we've worked really hard to be a good team.
Yeah.
And I know I say this a lot because I don't ever want people to think this has been a walk in the park. Like 27
Yeah.
years has been, we have struggled, we have fought our way, we have stuck it out, we have chosen each other, we have, and between marriage, ministry, family dynamics, medical issues with kids, there's been a lot that we've walked through.
Right.
And so I think when it comes to empathy and compassion, it's across the board. I think it's my own story.
Yeah. Right.
Like
Right.
I was a wild child. So when other people's, kids and they're going through stuff and I'm like, oh, I understand. Like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Everybody's going to be okay.
Yeah. And and like when you've experienced something both as an individual who like it's part of your story, as a parent,
Yeah.
and whatever the case is, I think if there's one thing that I always knew you were very good at was the space you give people and the empathy you hold, because you appreciate, well, like, one, I think you have perspective for it, but like you also appreciate the individuality of every story.
I do. I care. I care
Oh,
deeply
yeah.
about the individual.
Yeah.
And I think that even, I use the Enneagram as a tool to help navigate conversation and help see where we're stuck, and the layers of psychology inside of it. But the hope is, I see you. I want you to feel seen and heard and understood. And I don't want you to feel judged.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
now, is there conviction that the Holy Spirit does? Heck yeah.
For sure.
But I don't want to condemn. I want to hold space, and I want him to do what he does. I want the work to happen the way that it should. So, I care deeply about holding people as individuals. And I think I always have. So we've been in this music industry space my whole adult life.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Stephen laughs about is that I'm not enamored by anybody. I don't really care. And I've never have been.
Yeah.
And I've always thought, like, no, I want to know the person. I don't want to know the performance, or I want to know
100%.
the person.
Yeah.
And so that's always kind of how I've been.
Yeah.
And we have house full of artists all the time.
Yeah.
And I want to know the individual.
Yeah.
I don't like, the gift is awesome. I love that you had that gift, but I care about your soul. I
Yeah.
care about your health. I care about your well-being. I care about your mind. Like, are you okay?
Oh.
And
Well,
so
on that note, I remember, so I took a job in 2022. I've talked about it on this podcast before. I don't go into specifics, but it's known. But I remember we had a session about a month after I started, month and a half. And we get on the call, and they were always on Zoom. And you looked at me, and the first thing you said was, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't think so." This is 6 weeks in, 8 weeks in. But like, that shows, though, like, on the surface, everyone would be like, "You're so good at what you do. It's incredible." And I was really freaking good at what I did, to my detriment. But you were one of the few you and Kelly Robertson were two of the people who saw through the facade. Now, like my wife, but she knew everything, but saw through and were like, "Are you good?" Because like, you're not. And it's like, I used to joke that I put on a really, really good game face, and people didn't know. And people didn't know. But I saw a picture one day, I don't know, probably 6-8 months after I resigned, and I saw this picture, and I was like, how did people not know that I was just in a spot? Because I looked, like, the look on my face was like, I looked like a ghost. It looked like I'd seen a ghost. So on that note, though, when you talk about caring more about the individual than accomplishments, which I would say is not overly common in our culture.
It's not. We live in an individualistic society that cares about accomplishments and achievement and prove your worth and all that. And it's counter to our faith.
And I think it's counter to the way we were wired as humans.
Yes, it's counter to
which comes back to the faith piece of all being created by God. But
we were created to be in a collectivist society, like where we think about other people and it's community driven. But United States doesn't live like that.
Wow.
It's an individualistic society.
Which
inside of that, let me say that.
Yeah.
So inside of that, in culture, inside of that, there's a lot of different cultures here.
Correct.
So I think inside of that, you do have pockets of different culture, but overall,
Yeah, absolutely.
the general
is
consensus.
I think it's almost like I'm gonna get mine, you get yours.
Yeah.
And if I can, I think one thing that I think about this conversation specifically, like that I feel like you and I align on, and probably why we get along well is I try to be the same type of way of like, I think accomplishments are sick and I want people to do it. But I also, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be your friend because you are. Whether you're, I mean, it just doesn't matter to me at the end of the day because I care about you as a human being. Sorry, well, it's been a while since I had a battery die on an episode, and here we are, it's been died. So I got to get my train of thought back. So we're talking about accomplishments and all that stuff. Now I remember what I was going to say. So I think one thing that I've learned in culture is people care about accomplishments because they care about, I'm going to use this word, and I don't know if this is correct, but they care about the clout that comes from others' accomplishments and how they can benefit. And I've never gotten that feeling with you or Steven at all. Where it's like, and you all are friends with successful people. But at the end of the day, it's like, to your point, you care about who you are as a human being, your soul, your health, and that's it. And if you accomplish it, great.
Yeah, I don't even know like kind of where that comes from either.
Yeah.
But I mean, personality type, because I do Enneagrams, personality type. So you got your Enneagram 3, which is my husband, which is that driven achiever. He does care about knowing important people. He does care about being important himself. He does care about all of those things.
Yeah.
But he's not, I feel like he does it with integrity.
Yeah.
And so
I would agree.
He's not like scanning the room, trying to figure out who he should talk to. The younger version of him, absolutely, I think he did in his 20s.
And I think that has only come with time for me, of where it's like you hit a point in time in your 30s where you're like,
it doesn't really
matter.
Yeah. I think so. The younger, because I'll talk about that, younger him was hungrier, and now he's just, where he's at. I think lifespan plays a big role of this too. Like at this stage of life that he and I are both at, we are in this like stage of life that we care about mentorship, giving back, next generation, pouring into legacy. We care about like our kids, like what this looks like for them, what they want to accomplish. So I think that we are still building. He and I are still building our businesses. We are very intentional with what we've been entrusted with. And what I think we realize is that it's the people at the end of the day. It's the people. I think that job situation that happened where we thought, oh, we'll be at this church forever. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. I think that really changed a lot of things for Steve and I as far as what we put our money, not our money, well, probably money, but what we put our time to.
Yeah.
What, what we want to invest in, who we want to invest in, our marriage. Like that took the backseat for years to building career and raising kids. And so, I think at 20 years, we're like, if we want to keep doing this, we got to figure out how to do this better.
Oh yeah.
And so the investment of our marriage, and that does mean money. That does mean time. Like there's a lot of things that I think helped us realign, but it didn't happen until we were in our 40s.
Right.
And that's normal. That is age appropriate adjustment that begins to happen. And I think understanding that is helpful too, because we still want to be successful and we still want to be good stewards of what we were given, what we're entrusted with. And at the end of the day, we want to enjoy this life.
So when you talk about being at this stage of life where you're almost empty nesters, and now your perspective shifted a little bit to thinking about legacy, investing in people. How do you hold space for I don't remember what I was talking about. My battery died again. Okay, let's transit. I want to transition thought processes here because we've talked a lot about the Enneagram and that world. But you talk about going to therapy. At what point in time in life did you get into did you start studying Enneagram? And then when did you realize that like, oh, this is actually what I want to become an Enneagram coach and help people through that?
So early 30s, my girlfriend gave me a book, The Wisdom of the Enneagram.
Okay.
And I was like, what the what? What
Mhm.
is this book with this weird symbol? And then I read, started reading about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is describing me.
Mm.
Like, and it's not like the healthy side of me. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
describing
Right.
the crazy side of me. And I was like, oh. So that was the beginning of it. And it started to give me language
Mhm.
to help me better understand myself and
Okay.
also a path forward and a path through. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't stuck there. I could figure out like how to be the healthier version of me through self-awareness. So it was that early 30s therapy in my 30s.
Mhm.
Then towards the end of my late 30s, Stephen was like, hey, you really love the Enneagram. I think you should get certified. I think that this would be a great venture. This
Yeah.
is a good partnership. We could do this together. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. So that was the journey to get certified. I had no idea what I was going to do with it. I thought I was going to
Yeah.
partner with him and go more corporate,
Mhm.
and that just wasn't the path. So, shortly after I got certified, I started an online offering as far as coaching,
Mhm.
just, put it out there, and it grew. And
Yeah.
it just, I ended up having my own practice not long after that, see clients all over the world, which is really fun.
That's so cool.
My social media account
Mhm.
grew to where it's at today. And so I put out content every single day. I write
Yeah.
content. I
Every day.
am passionate
Yeah.
about
And it's really, really good content
Thank
too.
you. I'm passionate about
Yeah.
that content, and I want people to understand themselves better.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is the key to growth. And so
Mhm.
when you can understand what you are doing, you can own your
Mhm.
side of what you're doing, that's when change can begin to happen.
Yeah.
So cuz you have choice, you have agency. And so I'm
Mhm.
really passionate about helping people understand that about themselves.
Mhm.
So that's the path that happened. I got a book deal shortly after
Yeah.
I got
S
certified.
what year did you become a certified Enneagram coach?
So 8 years ago.
Okay, so 2018, 17, something like that, give or take?
Yeah,
I lose track of what
I
I
don't
think it's
know either. I
2016.
just know
'Cause
how old I
that's what it
am and
seemed
when I
like.
got certified.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think
So, was Steven back full-time in the music business, managing artists by that point in time, or was this in between?
I was getting certified as we were stepping back into this.
Okay,
And in stepping
that makes
back into
sense.
this, we thought at the beginning of this, he and I just did a podcast together on my
Yeah,
podcast, which is Enneagram with JB.
yeah,
But on that podcast, because he talks about this a little bit,
okay,
because we talked about the transition,
yeah,
what this looks like. And we thought we were going to do church consulting stuff
yeah,
or consulting,
mhm,
and it ended up going heavier into the music side of it. So we were just building both things at the same
mhm,
time.
yeah.
And then the world shut down shortly after that.
I forgot that timeline
Yeah. It
was
all
like
is like
that.
right in the beginning of
Yeah,
this journey that we're like, "Oh my goodness, what's happening?"
yeah,
Oh, and just, you know, I don't know. So it just a lot of music came out of that season. A
yeah,
lot of beautiful, great music came out
yeah,
of that season. And so but we were both building.
yeah.
We've both been building.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
so let me go back to this then, because that you
Mhm.
saying that reminded me what I was
Mhm.
asking before my
Mhm.
camera died again. Third time I'm gonna try to ask this question. So when you talk about still being in the building phase,
Yeah.
how do you all also hold space for building
Mhm.
while also thinking about what you're leaving? Does that make sense? Being in both places of continuing to try to build what you all have while also thinking about what's next and like what you're leaving.
Like legacy, like leaving that way? Is that what you
Yeah, I think so.
so
Does that kind of make sense a little bit?
well, we are building, we are actively thinking through as we build what we want to leave. So it's
Okay, yeah, and that's what I was gonna ask next is
yeah.
like do they work in tandem
Yes.
together and not mutually exclusive?
They're not exclusive. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, no, no. Like the season that we're in, what we are building, this is our legacy. This is our and we are thinking about the next because he and I are dreaming about um the next phase of both of what we do. There's no, we're not phasing out of anything. Like we love the management side. Oh my gosh. I love the music side of what he does. I love he includes me in it. I go to a lot of the meetings and a lot of the recordings, and I love to be with the teams as much as he does. So our house is full of musicians and artists and
That's
writers
so cool.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And they just come in. They just pop in. They'll just pop in the middle of the day, and my house is what it is. So it's clean or it's not. And I
100%.
think that I've had to get over some of that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, why did you just walk them in through the garage? Like, seriously? And they don't care. They're like,
Not one bit.
You walk through the laundry room that's piled high with laundry.
Yeah.
Because we're living in, we're
100%.
living
This
in
is where
doing
you-
this.
This is your home. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that when we think about what we're building, it's that hands opened.
Yeah.
And it's being wise. So he and I both together talk through the decisions we're going to make about both companies.
Yeah.
And what artists we're going to sign and what book deals or what speaking engagements I'm going to do, whatever that looks like. It is very much together to make sure that there's a good balance. We both get to speak into each other's stuff. And so we think about the relationships that we want to have with our children first.
Yeah.
How much time left we have with our parents.
Oh, yeah.
How much time we have left with each other.
Yeah.
And what we want that to look like.
Yeah.
And this month has been a crazy month. He's traveled so much this month. He's been gone more than he's been home. And I don't love it. And he doesn't love it. And so it's like, okay, we need to pull back on different parts of it. So I think there's an ebb and flow. There's not a balance 50-50.
Yeah.
It's the 30-70, 40-60. It's finding balance.
Yeah.
To balance each other in different seasons. Intentionality. Like I just think there's so much that goes into what we think about today versus what we thought about in our 30s.
When I was going to ask next is how much has age and time shaped that?
Oh, hopefully it does.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the hope when you're thinking through lifespan. The hope is that you get into the 40s range and that things begin to shift and that you're looking at it through a lens of next, of legacy, of mentorship, of like, what can I impart to the next generation? There's a lot of the times that midlife crisis happens, right? It's a real thing. And so in this midlife crisis, if you're not happy with where you're at, if you haven't invested in relationships, if you are not satisfied with your job, that's a lot of the times where tension exists and where you want to unplug, you want to jump ship, you just want to get out of it and start over.
Yeah.
And so I think that being intentional to know what you're building all the way through is going to be important. Because
and when you say that, you're speaking family, you're speaking marriage, you're speaking your relationship with your parents, not just career-wise.
Oh, yeah.
So when you talk though about like the midlife crisis piece, do you think that you all have, I don't want to say avoided, but you have a surety in what you're doing now because of what you experienced 10 years ago and leaving what you thought you'd be in forever?
I don't think we avoided midlife crisis. Let me say that. We're on the late side of 40s into 50s. So we're not in that midlife crisis stage of life.
Okay.
Did we avoid it? No.
Yeah.
We hit it and we had to adjust and we had to look at it, and there was parts that we didn't like. We hit it.
Do you think you hit a sense of midlife crisis a little early?
No.
Or do you just hit, or
no.
you just still hit it regardless?
We hit it.
Yeah.
We hit it in our 40s.
Okay.
We hit it in our 40s.
Yeah.
And so
what was that like to navigate going through that process
Yeah, we both hit
together.
it in different ways,
Yeah.
in different stages, because he's, again, a little bit older than me, which
Mhm.
just it does, you can just see it happen. It trends a little bit.
Mhm.
I think a lot of realigning happened, a lot of therapy, a lot
Yeah.
of we needed safe places to be able to talk through things. We
Yeah.
needed to have good friends that could challenge us. We needed to have each other. I think that there's just a lot that both of us had. I think for me in it, I can speak to me. He
Mhm.
would speak to his own, but or he probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's actually what would
Yeah.
happen. He wouldn't. He'd avoid the conversation
Yeah.
and ask you about you, because that's what he would do.
100%.
Tell me about you. I don't
Yeah.
know.
How many sessions have we had where one of my favorite memories of a session was we were doing one of Me, You, and Tori, which we did a couple of
Uh-huh.
them. And I walked in and, we're on Zoom and I sit down and I think I had glasses on and a hoodie on and you looked at me and you go, "What's your deal?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You said, "Your defense mechanisms are up." I'm like, "What do you," I'm like, I'm walking into a buzzsaw. I'm like, I've got you who I know you're just going to be brutally honest. Tori, who's like, "You're miserable. You need to change what you're doing." And you're like, "Take your hood off your
Yeah.
head." And anyway, so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes.
I
Sounds
didn't
like
mean to
me,
interrupt you.
guys. Sounds like me.
That's just,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so. For me, midlife
Yeah.
looked like a realigning. I
Okay.
had got married young, had babies young,
Mhm.
had twins in my early 30s,
Yeah.
and then just in ministry, everything had been about really Stephen building his career and me raising
Yeah.
these babies. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I think there's more in me. I think that there's something stirring in me, but I don't know if I have permission
Yeah.
to actually step into something, which just sounds ridiculous, but Stephen is not a heavy hand. He's not
No, for
hard.
sure.
He's
I
not.
understand where you're coming from though, because that is, and maybe it's from the ministry
Mhm.
world.
Mhm.
I understand
Mhm.
when your husband is a
Mhm.
pastor and a
Yeah.
leader, there's the wife is just
There's not
kind
a
of
lot of room.
no.
Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
fully understand where you're coming from in
Yeah.
that sentiment and that feeling.
Yeah. It was like, can I take up space?
Yeah.
And we did, again, a lot of work right at 40 for me.
Mhm.
Right at 40, we hit the ground running and did a ton of therapy.
Mm.
And we did it together. So he could see what I was dealing with, I could see what he was dealing with, and we could learn how to support each other in that. And also I realized that I had put myself on a shelf. He didn't take my
Wow.
voice away. He didn't
Yeah.
put me on a shelf. I did, because I learned how to navigate life that way. And a lot of life is, if you're okay, I'm okay. That's how I
Mhm.
functioned. And I
Mhm.
functioned that way since I was little. If you're
Wow.
okay, I'm okay. So with my mom, like, if mom's okay,
Yeah.
then we're going to be okay, because my dad left when I was little. And so I had taken that as an early construct. I'd taken that into my whole life. And so I think, in my 40s, I was like, early 40s, I was like, okay, am I going to keep looking at everybody else to make sure they're okay and not stepping into this next thing? And Stephen was like, it's time. Let's
Wow.
go.
Yeah.
And I think the willingness to do it, I still fight it. I fight it
Yeah.
all the time.
I understand
I
that.
fight it all the time. Because it would be easier to not. It would be easier to just fold into his company, to work with him.
Yeah.
I mean, would it? No, not at all.
Right.
But
I know what you mean. I
but
understand where you're coming from.
to not take risks, to not
Yeah.
step into, to not use my voice. And then I feel the conviction of the Holy Spirit in that. Like, are you gonna, the talents I gave you, are you gonna dig a hole and just put them in there and keep them safe?
Wow.
Or are you gonna actually multiply them? And that's
Dang.
the conviction that I feel like I live in. And I want to just dig the hole. And I want to watch Netflix, and I want to go
100%.
out to lunch with my girlfriends, and I
Yeah.
want to not
Yeah.
at times.
I understand.
And then there's this whole other side of me that is like, but you wouldn't be fully living.
Yeah.
And I want to fully live.
And that I feel like that's that thought process, that feeling. I don't know that driving force is accurate, but I feel like is very prevalent in the way you coach. in the sense that you want people to find health. Every client you have, you want them to find health
Yep.
so that they can too fully live. No matter if it's scary, if it's hard.
Yep.
I remember one of the most meaningful things you said to me, and I don't remember the whole quote, and maybe you will, but you were telling me about a conversation you'd had with another Enneagram coach somewhere along the lines, and you used the analogy of a wolf, which in the church world is often not good.
I don't
Wolves
even
are,
think about it in the church world.
yeah, I didn't either.
not
I
even
didn't
in that
either because
context.
I did
Yeah.
not. But you looked at me and you said, I think it was lamb's wait to be fed.
Nope.
Or was it, you remember?
Yep, I remember
Okay.
this. And it was Beth McCord. It was
That's
her
right.
and her husband.
Yep,
We were
that's
out to
right.
dinner with them,
Yep.
Steve and I. And I think it was her husband that said this.
If I
And
remember
I won't
correctly,
quote
yeah.
it right either because
Yeah.
this is not
I've got it
his.
written down and I meant to look at it and I forgot.
I'm not going to quote this right either, but it's something about poodles. Poodles
That's
wait
right.
to be
Yeah,
fed.
yep, that's right.
And wolves go and hunt. And that's
Yeah.
not how it's said. And there's a better way that it's said. But
Yeah.
basically, like, are you going to hunt? Are you going to hunt? Are you going to go out after the things? Or are you going to wait for them to come to you?
Oh, and I felt that when you said that to me, I felt that in my bones. Like, I mean, and because to your point, I think at that time in my life, I went through a midlife crisis when I was 28. Like, just, if you ask Tori, I mean,
an early life crisis.
I hit an early life. But I mean, everything I knew was in shambles.
Yeah.
All of my friends were gone. What I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life, I was very clearly was like, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so there was a rebuilding in a lot of ways and a lot of soul searching. And I told someone recently, I've had this conversation with a few people that I think for a long time, I thought I had to get over what I went through. And get over the hurt and the frustration and, the bitterness that exists. And I think I hit a point in time where I realized that I never had to get over it. I just knew that it wouldn't rule my life the same way anymore.
You had to go through it.
100%.
Yeah.
And I would not, I've told people this. I don't think at this stage of my life, I regret the decision of what I went through, because if I didn't go through that, I would never have gotten to where I am now. And the empathy, I think one of the biggest pieces in all this, and I've learned a lot of where I am in life, I learned from you, like, especially in the last 5 years. I mean,
it's very kind.
It's a lot of the sessions I'm telling you, if people could have heard my moaning and crying in sessions, and you look at me like, you're going to be okay, I promise. But I don't know that I would have ever gained the empathy for people that I have now in their perspectives and the way I can relate to people. It goes back to the hurt piece that we were talking about earlier. When you experience hurt, it changes the way you view life and people and how you interact with humans. And I think even of when you talk about, Stephen when he was younger, and I was the same way. Like, you walk into a room, you're like, oh, that's someone like, and now in my early 30s, I look at it and I go, because I think at that time too, when you think that way, when I thought that way, I would walk into a room like, I want you to notice me. And now my perspective is different, where it's like, I walk into a room and I want I care about how people feel, not do they notice me.
Yeah.
And it's just,
it's part of it's that 3 personality type too. It's how you learned to be. It's your identity. There's an identity piece inside of that one.
100%.
And as a 7, that's not, mine is more like, how do I stay free? How do I stay?
Which is so interesting too, when you think about when you talk about, I just want to dig a hole and throw everything in the hole and just live my life. But at the same point in time, holding that space for, okay, I want to be free, but also I know this is where what I'm assigned to do.
Yes.
And the fulfillment you get in that.
Yeah, it's responsibility. Like, there's, I think, so Proverbs 8:12, and this is out of the Message Bible, but it says, I am Lady Wisdom. I live next to sanity. Knowledge and discretion live just down the street. And that picture, I've always drawn and I might have done this with you. I've always drawn a rectangle, and then I put wisdom, sanity, knowledge, and discretion on the lines outside of it. And that you live inside of that. That's where freedom is. So you learn you learn what's wise. You learn
Mhm.
from experience. You know, I want sanity. Like, that's what I want. I
Yeah.
think raising 4 kids with a husband that was a workaholic and traveled, like, I
Yeah.
did not feel sane most days. And so
Yep.
I just remember reading that scripture, literally praying, like, Lord, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And I read that scripture and I was like, you tell us in your word.
Yeah.
You give us instruction in your
Mhm.
word if we would just read it.
Right.
And I feel that conviction today, like, just open the Bible,
Yeah.
you know, but
Excuse me.
I think that is just when I think about freedom for
Mhm.
me and my personality type, it is about achievement and accomplishment, like following through. So not so
Mhm.
much achievement and accomplishment, it's following through with what I feel like I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, just do it. Like,
Yeah.
clean my closet, for crying out loud,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
I
Um,
understand.
but I think that I want to be free, but
Yeah.
that don't get don't how do I want to say this? Like, don't mistake that freedom,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the worldly freedom,
Yeah.
for what that actually means to
Mhm.
be free.
Well, because and I would say I think, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, words in your mouth, but I think that you are, and maybe you've alluded to this. You are fully living in freedom in
Mhm.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just that that freedom isn't what maybe you would think it looks like.
Yeah, it's not like my days are just whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. My
Yeah.
days are very
Yeah.
structured. I am very structured, very
Mhm.
organized.
Which is probably why you are able to have the freedom in
Mhm.
what you're
Yeah.
flourishing in now.
Yeah, like my Fridays, like recording
Mhm.
today,
Mhm.
the way that I set my schedule up,
Mhm.
um, I have flexible
Yep.
Fridays, so that gives me the freedom to record
Mhm.
podcasts.
Yeah.
But if I didn't do that, and if I was just kind of living on a whim, it would be like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I don't know, I have all these
Yeah.
things to do, and I'm not accomplishing anything. And
Yeah.
I'd be so mean, you guys. When I get stressed, I'm mean. I'm so mean. I'm like
Oh,
irritable,
I get it.
prickly, mean. So
When I get stressed, what does Steven do when he gets stressed as an Enneagram 3?
he gets quiet. He
Yeah.
goes on his phone,
I think that story.
shuts
Yeah.
down.
I remember, so I want to finish with this. Um, you talk about, you were talking about earlier about, early 40s being in
Hmm.
therapy and the childhood piece of that.
Hmm.
And that's what I've always found so intriguing about the
Hmm.
Enneagram. And I think to kind of dive into that even a little more,
Yeah.
humans as a
Hmm.
whole, and
Hmm.
how much we as adults are shaped by what we experienced as a child.
Oh,
And
yep.
I remember sitting in a session one, it was probably what I was talking about earlier, where I'm sitting there with the hood on and you're like, take your hood off. Like, you're
Hmm.
going to be fine. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Hmm.
But Tori's with me. And y- I think that was, when you're married, you see every depth of your partner,
Hmm.
and you don't always have the perspective that other people do when they know, like, what they're going through, but you're just like, get out of it.
Hmm.
Whereas other people see it and they can help you have the perspective of why they're
Right.
struggling to be out of it.
Right.
That's what you did that day.
Mhm.
And you sat there and you looked at Tori and you're like, all right, Tori, like, you heard her out, everything
Mhm.
was going on. But you looked at her and you said, okay, let me read you some things about the Enneagram 3
Mhm.
and the childhood trauma pieces of it. And that's not to, I feel like people misunderstand that in the sense of it. They're like, "Oh, my childhood was terrible," and it was not that. It's just
No.
what
So,
shapes you.
yeah, so we'll talk about, like, the unconscious
Yep.
messaging that happens in childhood. So
Yes.
not necessarily childhood trauma.
Yeah. I'm using a
Yeah, I'm like,
horrible
let me
word for
fix
it.
that a little bit.
My bad.
So not necessarily trauma, but
Right.
it's the early constructs of
Yeah.
how you learned to get love, to get your needs met, and keep yourself safe.
Yep.
It's those three, and those
Not
are
trauma.
human. It could be.
Maybe it's
It
trauma.
might be.
Respectfully.
But I mean, we all
Yeah.
have, big little traumas in our lives.
Yep.
But with us humans, it's
Mhm.
cradle to grave. How do I get love? How do I get my needs met? And how do I keep myself safe? We come out of the womb this way.
Mhm.
Okay. We scream and we cry and we like we fuss to try to get our
Mhm.
needs met. And then by the age of 2, this is where personality begins to develop between the
Mhm.
age of 2 and 7.
Mhm.
And it gets set. It's not firm. Okay. So we're adaptable.
Yeah.
But a lot of it gets set between this age between 2 and 7. So those
Mhm.
5 years when your parents don't know what they're doing,
Mhm.
you don't know what you're doing as a little tiny,
Yeah.
and but you're learning how to navigate within your family unit on what that family unit expects around behavior and all of these things. So how do I get love? How do I get my needs met? And how do I keep myself safe? So you've got nature and nurture working. You've got your natural disposition, your temperament, which is innate. It doesn't change. That's God given. We don't want to change that. We want to understand it and enhance it. So we want to look at that. That's why I have 4 children, 4 different personality types, same parents. Different seasons of each of those kids, but same parents. So when we think about the childhood story, I do a lot of work with attachment. So attachment theory or bonding science, and how you learn to attach early in childhood is then how you try to attach in your adult relationships. So when you begin to understand these aspects of yourself, I think it gives you a much broader picture of coping strategies, of yourself in stress and health, of what this looks like, and what's working and what isn't working. Because not everything, we don't want to throw it all away. I don't want to work on everything. I want to look at, when I'm working with an individual, I want you to understand all of these different aspects of yourself. And then I want you to tell me where you feel stuck or what you feel like isn't working or where you're getting tripped up. That's where we want to work from. But it's not everything. But I think the empathy piece, so I was this morning getting ready thinking about this for I have a project that I'm working on. And so the me and we of Enneagram. So me first, I need to understand me, and then the we, like I want to understand all the other people. So I don't know that me and we really works together. I'm trying to figure out how to make that work.
I know what you mean, though.
But it is that self-discovery, self-understanding, self-awareness. It's that growth first. Because it's really easy for us to look at other people and see all things wrong with them.
100%.
It's really hard for us to see ourselves in our own story. And so that's we first turn the light, the mirror, the highlight, whatever it is, turn it on you first, start investigating. And then I do a lot of couple work. I do lots of work with couples. And so inside of that, then it's them and you, and you, back and forth, back and forth. And I think that, obviously Steve and I have done a ton of work around that because what I do, but I think that's where empathy and compassion grows. And I think it grows for you as an individual. And then I think it grows in that coupleship and parenting. And then from outside of that, like I can see all kinds of situations. And we talked about this, like I hold people as individuals and regardless of their story or their situation or the place that they work. I don't look for the villain in people's stories. I look at the individual in front of me and try to understand what's happening. And then we could talk about personalities around you for you to also understand what's happening around you. So I think I don't know that I answered your question.
No, I think you did. No, I love talking about this with you, though, because I think like one common theme, I think in Enneagram in our conversation today is like human beings are very complex.
They are.
Deep individuals. And I think that's one thing I learned through the course of all of the sessions I had with you is like, and you were constantly evolving, for lack of a better way to put it, and changing and what's health and like just learning how to find health so that we as humans can flourish it's crazy.
Right. Well, and I think too that we immediately think stress and we think bad, and I think there's healthy stress too. So I think there's just so many different pieces of a person. And I'm fascinated by it.
And I think on that side too, it's like, I mean, in health, I can be stressed and not be acting unhealthy, if that makes sense. It's like, and so it doesn't mean just like, because like I'm stressed in health doesn't mean I'm going to revert to, because like you can tell, I mean, we were talking about this earlier. It's like, I remember you telling a story about when your husband, who's an Enneagram 3, was, in unhealth, and you're like, oh yeah, this all makes sense now. And I mean, that's me to a T. It's like, if I'm unhealthy, I'm probably couch rotting.
Yes.
And it's just like, I'm avoiding responsibility. And it's just, and let's close with this because there's so much we could get into. and I've thoroughly enjoyed being able to sit here and talk with you. But what would you say is, like, for any human being who is living in unhealthiness,
Mhm.
what do you feel like is a common theme for every person, regardless of personality type, Enneagram type,
Mhm.
of how you can find your way out
Mhm.
of being unhealthy?
Mhm. I think that the first step is being able to name what's
Mm,
going on.
mm,
And it has to be direct and to the point.
mhm,
So it can't be abstract. So it can't be like, I'm so anxious.
mm.
Okay, well, I I believe that you are.
Yeah.
About what? I don't
Mhm,
know. I don't know. Well, we can't do anything with I don't know.
mhm,
So it's getting into the nitty gritty and being able to identify
mhm.
what is going on.
Yeah,
And there's some different ways to do
yeah,
that, but that's the beginning. Like, it's really easy to blame other people. I lost my job and that's why, and they treated me horrible and this is what happened and da 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 da. Or, it's like, okay, why are you why are you couch rotting?
yeah,
Because I lost my job, da 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 da. Okay, let's go deeper into this. Why are
yeah,
you couch rotting? I feel scared. I feel
yeah,
worthless. I feel confused. I feel alone. Okay, we can work with all of that.
yeah.
But we've got to name it to tame it.
Mhm.
And so that's what I think can help get out of those places
Right.
is when you are willing to sit in the uncomfortable and name
Yeah,
and be able to own.
yeah.
Because if everything is projected outward,
Mhm.
then there's just not we can't change anybody else.
Right.
We can't change those circumstances. What we can change is you as an individual. We
Mhm.
can change your choices, the way that you're viewing things, the way that you're seeing things. Your perspective can shift.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of different moves that we can make, but it really comes down to the first step is
Yeah,
naming it to tame it.
yeah. Wow. I feel like that is so helpful. I mean, and I think back to the sessions we had and how much there was this conversation came into fruition of like, okay, what's really going on?
Hmm.
Let's really talk about
Hmm.
not like
Hmm.
all the external factors. Let's talk about like
Hmm.
what's causing you to feel this
Yeah.
way, not just you're feeling
Yep.
this.
And then inside of that, recognizing that you have agency and you have choice.
Yep.
And I think that that is what most of us want to pretend is not true. Because
Mhm.
if we have choice,
Yep.
that means that we have to make a choice.
Yep.
And to not make a choice is making a choice.
Right.
And like to not make a move is still making a choice to not make a move.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that that is another huge piece to why people don't want to actually get in the nitty gritty of
Mhm.
the reality
Mhm.
is that there's choices. Cause I'll have conversations with people about like, okay, well, why don't you have this conversation? I don't want to. Why? Because what if they say this?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if they say that, then you have a choice to make. Yeah, I don't know that I want to make the choice.
Yep.
So I'll just stay in the limbo.
Well, and how much do you think with humans is one of our biggest flaws is avoidance?
It's so if we look at that, right? So people that are going to use that as a coping strategy, it
Mhm.
is a coping strategy.
Mhm.
It is what you're using to try to survive, to keep
Oh,
you
yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
And so that avoidance, it worked. You
Yep.
learned that at some point that it worked. And what we want to look at is it still working?
Mhm.
And if it's keeping you stuck or keeping you trapped or keeping you just spiraling, then that's
Mhm.
when it's not working. That's when we want to look at it.
Yeah.
But it's a coping strategy. And coping strategies are there on purpose. They help
Yeah.
us survive.
Mhm.
So I mean, I could talk forever about
I
all this
know.
stuff, but we don't want to take all of your tools away.
Yeah.
We want you to understand what tools you're reaching for and why.
Mhm.
And is that still the appropriate tool for
Mhm.
the job?
Yeah. Dang. Do you have anything else you wanna add? Again, I know we could sit here and talk about all and, like, I find your all's story so fascinating, in the sense of just this you've been through so many seasons of life,
Mhm,
and to be,
mhm,
now at this stage, being 27 and a half years into marriage,
mhm,
having 2 adult children, having 2 teenagers, and we didn't even get into all of the
mhm,
nuance of parenting and,
mhm. Yeah.
but I mean, I've said this and I'll say it again. You and Steven mean so much to us
Oh,
and
thank you.
just you all are, I mean, he and I had coffee not long after the
Mhm,
job I left and what he is just was such an encouragement to me, and as you know, you have been too. But it means the world truly that you would take time to sit down and deal with my camera dying 100 times. But do you have anything else you want
Um, I mean, I just think when I think about people
to add?
navigating life,
Yeah.
I just want people to stay kind and curious
Mm,
to yourself and other people.
yeah.
Um,
Dang.
and it's really easy for us to pass judgment
Yeah.
on other people's situations or circumstances, but empathy goes a long way.
Hmm.
And so kind and curious.
Wow.
I wonder why,
Yeah.
you know. Hmm.
I feel like I probably have learned some of that from you of like, now granted, Tori would probably tell you I'm a little too hateful right now at times.
You're
It's
still working through your stuff.
100,
Mhm,
and we just were talking about
mhm.
that. It's like, I mean, when you all, I know I said that was the last thing, but how long do you think it took you when you all transitioned away from we thought we were going to be in ministry forever to you're not, to where you felt like, okay, I've worked through a lot of it?
Um, so we didn't leave ministry with church hurt
Yeah.
at all.
Hmm.
Like, we
I
love
remember you telling me
yeah,
this
we
before.
love the
Hmm.
local church. We love the Big C church.
Hmm.
We love ministry. We see the ins and outs, the goods, the bads, the
Yeah.
hardship of it,
And you
like
all
what it
navigated
is.
very well as well.
And so there, we didn't leave with church hurt. We left with personal hurt.
Yep.
And that's still there. That
Yeah.
there's still wounding inside of that. There's still
100%.
confusion inside of that story. There, you know, there's not reconciliation
Hmm.
that is a friendship inside
Hmm.
of our story.
Hmm.
And so, you know, I I don't know how to answer that. Like it took a couple years
Yeah.
to get over like, okay, but where we are today, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yep. Yep. And I
I
think
wouldn't
that's the
trade
key
it.
in your
Yeah.
answer is like, I don't, when you get hurt or when you cause hurt,
Mhm.
and I've done both, I've been
Mhm.
a part of
Yeah.
both. I don't know that there's a clear cut answer of
There
like,
isn't.
that's, and because every, it comes
Mhm.
back to the
Yeah.
person. Every human being's
Yeah.
different. Every story is
Yeah.
different. And
Yeah.
we all navigate life
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
differently.
And there's pieces of it that they still hurt.
Yeah.
I'm really good friends with the pastor's wife of the church that we were at still
Hmm.
today. And so her and I, like, I'm going to see her after this, but
Yeah.
we talk about like the shrapnel of what happened
Mm,
and it went far and wide. And so
yeah.
I think that there's wounding that you work through
Yeah.
and there's things that still come up in therapy. And even with my kids got,
100%.
they got hurt inside of that
That is what I think
too. So,
is easy to miss too. And when we as
mhm,
adults,
mhm,
as parents, as
mhm,
spouses go through hurt,
mhm,
the ripple effects to our kids,
mhm,
like Roman
mhm,
still, like
mhm,
with what we
mhm,
went through,
mhm,
he's got hurt. He was
mhm,
5,
mhm. Yeah.
I think. So I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, my
I,
twins were 7.
yeah,
Yeah, but my kids, they all love church. They
yeah,
all love ministry. They all wanna
which is
go
beautiful.
they all,
Mhm.
read their Bible. They all wanna be a part
Yeah.
of what we do. So, I think that just be careful.
Hmm.
That's what I would say with hurt,
Mm,
with
yeah, yeah, yeah,
wound,
yeah,
with
absolutely.
wounding and with hurt. Be careful where you project it.
Yes.
Be careful how you talk about it, who you talk about it with.
Yes. Yep. That
Um,
is who you talk about her with is I learned that the hard way, I think, probably
mhm,
over time,
mhm,
multiple different
mhm,
scenarios of life of like it's like the vulnerability piece. When you trust the wrong person with
mhm,
your
mhm,
vulnerability and
mhm,
you can get burned
right.
quick. And I think,
Yeah.
trusting people with hurt is the same
Mhm,
thing.
mhm,
Um, but I mean, again, I think you all have navigated a season you would have never asked for beautifully.
mhm.
And
Thanks.
also now we're flourishing in where you are.
Mhm.
And
We love what we're doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much again for coming on. We love you all, and we're really grateful for your friendship and how you all have been there for us in our hard seasons. But make sure to you have a website. Is it can people
Everything's Enneagram
books
with
Enneagram
JB.
with JB? Yeah.
Yeah.
On Instagram,
Enneagram
Enneagram
with
with JB.
JB. Yeah.
Your podcast, Enneagram with JB.
Enneagram. Yeah. Everything's Enneagram with JB. And then I have books and stuff on Amazon
Yeah.
or Barnes and Noble, wherever books are
Yeah.
sold. And you can just look it up by my name, Jackie
Well,
Brewster.
yeah. So if you're curious about like I honestly would say like finding personal health in your personality type,
Yeah.
I would reach out to Jackie and schedule a session because I promise you it's gonna make you a better human being.
Yeah. Yes. I love to
So
coach. I love to
yeah.
help people navigate life. So, yeah, reach out.
Well, thank you so much for the wisdom you shared today and for being honest. It means the world.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Well, that was my episode with my friend Jackie Brewster. Really enjoyed getting to sit down with her. I've talked about this in the episode with her, and I've talked about it on other episodes with other guests. But Jackie is, someone who has had a massive impact in my life and has been a huge, um, influence in person who's helped me find health and growth in seasons when, it probably felt impossible, and helped me have a lot of practical tools and tips for finding health throughout the course of life and recognizing unhealthy patterns and stuff. So if you're a person who is interested in learning more about yourself and growing and you know finding out how you're wired and all of that type of stuff, I would highly recommend reaching out to our Enneagram with JB on socials. It'll be linked in the description of this episode. But reach out to her. I know she would be phenomenal for anyone who I would love to work with anyone who reaches out and would be is a phenomenal person to work with to help you grow and to become better. And so, again, so grateful that she came on and was able to sit down and talk with her. She and her husband, two of my favorite people. So, hope you again enjoyed this episode. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe to us on socials. Deep.ish podcast. Subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you are listening to this, so that you don't miss anything. Leave us a review, and we will see you back next week for our next episode.